Our first house. My boyfriend and I rented our first house when we were just out of high school. We had a 1-year-old son and we both worked almost full-time. I worked during the day and he worked at night. He was a drummer and we decided to put his drum set in the extra room upstairs. There were 2 bedrooms and one tiny I don't know what room upstairs. Downstairs was a living room and small kitchen. In the tiny room upstairs there were family photos from the owner. She told us she had 2 kids, 1 girl and 1 boy. We had met them before and they were typical Thai Chinese kids, chubby, fair-skinned, black hair. The owner claimed to be a Christian, but we noticed since the day we moved in that she wouldn't stand in the house if the lights were off. We figured she must be paranoid or whatever. The spare room upstairs had a weird piece of yellow cloth with strange markings on it glued to the wall. It also had no screens, so we kept the glass windows shut and basically used the room for storage. My boyfriend worked every night from 10 to 1 and I was home alone with the baby. I'm not easily scared by noises or stuff, but there was something about that house that gave me the creeps from the first day. I would walk downstairs and I would hear something that sounded like a child running around upstairs, like small feet. Not loud enough to be an adult. Our baby couldn't walk yet, so I thought I was just imagining things. A few days after moving in I heard the drum set upstairs. It was just faint sounds like the bass drum and the cymbals. I figured maybe we didn't close the windows properly and it was just the wind blowing stuff around in the room. I didn't say anything to my boyfriend because I thought he would just tell me I was being silly, but the next day we had some friends over and when one of them asked who was running around upstairs I got the creeps. I told them about the weird noises upstairs and my boyfriend decided we should all sleep downstairs that night. We ended up moving downstairs completely because the strange noises wouldn't stop. At that time we had a friend staying with us for a few days. He said he was a Christian and he wasn't afraid of anything, so he decided to stay upstairs in the spare room. After the first night he was asking me why I kept shaking him and waking him up all night. I only told him after a few days that I never went upstairs at night. No surprise, he took his mattress downstairs. Then the in-laws came to visit during the school holidays. It was crowded and all, but we were happy to have extra company and we were also eager to see if anyone else would experience weird stuff or if it was just our imaginations. Well, weird stuff started happening from the first minute they set foot in our house. My boyfriend's twin sisters ran upstairs to look around and his mother ran after them. She said one girl ran into the room on the right, the spare room, and the other one ran into the bedroom. The door of the bedroom suddenly jammed and it wouldn't open no matter what. When we finally got it open, the mother was freaking out. She said that she was walking right behind the girl who turned right into the spare room, but both of the twins were in the bedroom on the left. Around this time we and other people who had slept in our house started having dreams of a little boy. This kid was apparently very hungry because everyone seemed to dream that he was asking for food, mainly sweet snacks and junk food. My boyfriend decided to buy some and put them on a plate in front of the door of the spare room. That night he dreamt that the kid told him to never steal his snacks again. A month later I got chicken pox from some of my students. I was lying in bed like a zombie for 10 days. I couldn't eat or move or talk to anyone. The whole 10 days the little boy tormented me. He strangled me, jumped on me, screamed at me, and he was scary looking. It was like sleeping but having someone constantly waking you up and talking to you. My boyfriend's dad is a medium, so we decided as a last resort to ask him what was in our house. He said it was the son of the owner. We asked the owner and she laughed it off and told us she only had 2 kids, the ones we had met. After another month we couldn't take it anymore as the visits and noises from the little boy became more and more frequent. This little boy, as I call him, wasn't just any typical boy. He had very big sunken-in eyes, a very big head like an alien, very bony arms and fingers, and grayish skin. The weirdest thing was that he was always asking for certain kinds of food. It was as if he had never eaten anything yummy in his life. We decided to move houses and we ended up moving into another nearby townhouse owned by the same lady. She had to return the insurance deposit for the old house and it turned out that she was living in the house right behind our new house. She asked me to walk over to get the money when I was free. That day I got the shock of my life. I still don't know how to explain this and I know how impossible it sounds. I rang her doorbell and she came out carrying a little, skinny, deformed, big-headed, grayish-skinned boy with big sunken eyes. I had to force myself not to scream. I asked her how many months old her baby was. She seemed uneasy but she told me he was her third child and he spent most of his time in the hospital. He was 5 years old and had spent most of his time going in and out of a coma. The kid looked the same size as a 4-month-old. He had been fed through a tube his whole life because he was missing the roof of his mouth. Everything we had experienced in that house came rushing into my brain. It all made sense. The kid was still technically alive, but this was the kid who had been haunting us and asking for food. I still don't know how it's possible, but there is no doubt in my mind. I know that face. I saw it every day for 10 days. I ran back to our new house, my body shaking and unable to explain what I had just saw. I told my boyfriend to go look for himself, but the grandmother came out and denied that there was a third child in their family. We found out later from the ex-husband of our landlady that she was purposely getting pregnant to keep him from leaving. The third kid was born prematurely and she refused to let him go. Kept him on machines and all. The kid had supposedly died many times already and they kept bringing him back. I never went back to see what happened with that kid. I was too freaked out and I also had a weird sense of guilt. We never told our landlady about what we experienced in our house. I just hope the kid can eat what he likes now.